Hello, and glad to have you here. Today, our discussion, our talk is going to be about how to control the things that you can control without allowing the things that you can't to cause you to get stuck in your business, in your everyday life, in anything that you're doing. That can happen. But it's important to really be aware, self-aware. It's important to be able to uh, understand the difference between the control that you have and the control that you don't. And that control that you don't can really stress you, cause you, some frustrations and upsets. And, basically, when you know what you can, and you keep that in mind, especially when things start to spin off, and get crazy, and you need something to help to pull you back. If you can just go back into, I can only control such and such. So that's what we're going to talk about today. I hope that's going to be something really interesting for you, as it has been for me over my lifetime. Things have totally changed because I thought that I had control over everything. I don't know. When we're young, there's we have some crazy ideas, but as we continue to grow, then we learn different. We learn, and when you learn and you know better, then you do better, is my philosophy. That's what I believe. That's what I've heard, and that's what that's what I gravitate to. So while you're hopping on, would you please drop in where you're coming in from, what you think about this control thing, and do you have any, problems with that? Or do you have anything to offer or questions to ask, your comments, your questions, your opinions, whatever those are? Love to hear them, love to see them in the chat, and I'll bring it up, and we can all talk about it for a little bit and then keep going, because I do have a list here, because I do get off track, and I am trying to get better about that by having my notes, and my other screen to help me when I need it. My phone is my other little notepad that I use to help me to keep on track, because I don't want to run you guys away. I want you to be able to want to stay and learn and grow in anything that's going to help you and your business, because I want to help those people that are like me, that were business builders, and things, the way that we were building, back before we started walking through all this stuff we're walking through, is so much different. So, I mean, it's just people couldn't do the things that they were doing before, and so then it caused some issues. I had already been online for a little bit, and part of that was from my company. I didn't even know what I was doing. I had a Facebook account, but it wasn't that big of a deal. And so, anyway, let me introduce myself. And while you guys are thinking about what it is that you can control, what it is you can't, and we'll go from there. My name is Cherie Woodard, and I help business builders and entrepreneurs to use social media to get prospects, leads, and sales in their business. And I do that in a variety of ways. I use attraction marketing, I use lead generation, as well as video marketing. And I use all of those things because I found that they've been helpful, and that's what I, learned when I first started in this company that I'm in, which is a mentorship and education company, which, I was a registered nurse. And so it taught me about business, and it taught me about marketing, which, is something that I had no concept of. So, I was a nurse for since 1982, so it's been a long time. But anyway, that's enough about that. Let's get to our topic here. So, remember that whether you're catching this live or whether you're catching it on the replay, still drop in where you're coming in from when you can, and I will still give you a shout out. And I also have a free gift. It's a free training, and it's what I used initially when I first came into this educational and mentorship company. And it was just, an eye opener for me. It helped me to see things in a different light. And, it like shined light on stuff that I had never thought about. So it really helped me. So I'm going to put it on the video when it's downloaded in the comment section so that you can check it out. All right. So when we're talking about control, a lot of people want to be in control of everything and every aspect. And, it doesn't matter how much you want to, there are only certain things that you control. So, and these are in no particular order. These are only um, uh, three things that I find as major points, major keys to help with this control thing. And so I'm gonna just go, let me just get going. Okay, so number one, I have, and like I said, not really any particular order, but recognize what and who you can control. That's really important. When you make that distinction, then if something is going on and it's beyond your control, there's not a whole lot you can do about it. And you can keep yourself from getting crazy, getting stressed, and you just say, well, there's not a whole lot I can do about that, but I can try to, it's not like you would just say, okay, so, the oh Lord, as I thought about what I was about to say, your file cabinet's falling over. One day with me in the operating room, um, we were moving anesthesia machines because the one in the room wasn't working properly. Now, we checked them when I worked in the operating room. I was a supervisor for a while. And so we worked, and I worked for anesthesia services. So we made sure that those machines were working, usually the morning before and the night when we were closing down. Well, there's always stuff that happens. And as we are, the patients in the room already going to sleep, they're safe, anesthesia has them under control, but their anesthesia machine is not working right. So they're having to bag the patient or use like a respiratory mask, not a respiratory mask, a rescue mask, or it's a bag. Let me just not try to explain it. But they're bagging the patient. They're giving them air and making sure that they're, able to breathe for them. And so once that was okay and everything's copacetic with that, we knew we could switch anesthesia machines out with one that we had just checked. Everything was working. And as we were trying to move the anesthesia machine, would you not believe that the one that we were trying to move wouldn't move, and as we were trying to push it, it just fell over in the operating room, and we, and you don't have time to go, well, what the? No, you have time to just scramble, get it out of the way, get the other machine in place, plug everything up. There's lots of things of reconnecting it back, get it done in a few minutes or a few seconds. And so that happened. And there was nothing that I could do about that but apologize. And even though it may not have been exactly my fault, it was me and the people that I worked with as a team that were doing it, and somehow I don't know whose fault it was. I don't really care. I just took responsibility for it and kept going. Um, I knew that there when I saw it going over that we didn't have control over that. We just had to get it out of the way and get the new one in, and then finally we were able to sit that one back up, roll it, further on till we got it out of the room. But just so your file cabinet falls over, or something that you are used to not happening, and it happens. What are you going to do? It's important to be able to know and recognize what you can control and what you can't. And basically, you can control, and I probably got off track a little bit with that story, but what you can control, the only thing that I know of that I have learned from my mentors, I have learned from my leaders, is that the only thing you can, and even before that, in nursing school and being a nurse, the only thing you can control is you. We had a lot of times where a monitor would just go dead. Well, and then we had to get another monitor in there because I worked in the ICU. Got to have that monitor, for so on and so on. But reasons that were really important. So you have to recognize that you can only control you. And what's in your mind. So your thoughts, you need to, I mean, and there are going to be, and not you need to, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to preach, but there are thoughts that will float into your head. And I've had some doozies lately. Like, no, 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 that's not me. That statement was whatever I say. I usually do something like that that didn't happen, or I'm not saying that, and then I change it with a positive thought or something, and just wipe that out. Like, no. But so different thoughts will come into your head, but you have the control over that. So that's why I say it's important to control your mind and be able to control your thoughts and be aware of them. Okay, let's see. Talk about it. You can also destroy. You can also only control the decisions that you make. You can't control other people's decisions. You have to let them make their own decisions. But as a mom, that might be hard, especially when your kids are really young. You make the decisions, you teach them how to make good decisions, and so on. As they get older and they get to a certain age, they don't think you know anything. So even though you've taught them, raised them well, then they can really surprise you and say some things and do some things that you really do not approve of, but you have no control because they're at an age where they are controlling themselves. We can still at a certain point take away things, do disciplinary, measures and what have you, but, you know, we are only able to truly control ourselves. Um, So let's see, I went over mind, and we only control ourselves and decisions we make. Then I have, it's important to be aware of the things that you can't, which I kind of alluded to in my little stories. But also, you have to remember that you can't control anybody else but you. So it's everybody else out there you have no control over. And all you can do is deal with whatever is going on in the best way, in the most positive way, and the most, take the high road way that you can, and just keep going. Um, let's see. You can't control time, but you can work within time to do the things that you need to do by scheduling certain things. And sometimes that, you have a certain amount of control, but then stuff happens. Emergencies happen. They call you and tell you come get your kid, they're sick. Or, your job calls you in because you're on call, so your time is not your own, so it's good when you can control some of that, some of the things that happen within the times that you have, available or not. But, that's another thing that we really can't control. We also, as team members, as leaders, as mentors, we cannot control team members. We cannot, like I said, basically, and that is still a part of everybody, but I wanted to break those two things out. And then the last thing I have is it's important to know the difference between what you can control and what you can't. It will help you to decrease your stress level. It will help you to make your reality as best you can, but you can't control those people around you. And knowing the difference helps to keep you from having these migraine headaches. When people are, pushing, 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 that they cannot, you have the ability to stop the pushing. You have the ability to stop certain things. Now, I know some bosses, some leaders can be pushy. Working in a hospital, there are things that, I felt, that I was kind of pushed out of the way and I told to go do this when I know that that's where I needed to be. But I had to follow what it was that my manager or my head nurse at the time told me to do. And so that's what I did. So, when you know the difference, then you can calm yourself. You can say, well, there's nothing else I can do. I've done everything I can. And I usually pray about it and keep going and do the best that I can, because we can't have ourselves all upset, headache, panic attacks, anxiety attacks, just angry, none of that's going to help anything. And so by knowing the difference, I believe that it's going to help. So I hope this information was helpful for you. I'm sorry I didn't get in there and say, do you have any questions? But I'll ask that now. Are there any questions, or do you understand what I'm talking about when I'm talking about knowing what you control, which is basically you, and what you can't control? And, it's just a matter of like, so even like you're driving somewhere, you have an appointment, and, I guess you could have controlled it maybe if you had filled up your gas tank, but think time didn't permit or whatever. You didn't have the opportunity. So you thought, okay, I can make it to this appointment, and then you run out of gas, before you can get to the appointment because something else happened, and you ended up driving more than you thought you were going to before that appointment. So there are some things, you even with what you do that are out of your control, and you're like, "Ugh," and then you just call the company that you have that, comes and gets you off the side of the road to come and help you out, bring you a gallon of gas so you can get to the gas station so you can get gas. I mean, but for me, knowing what I control and what I can't helps me to keep myself calm. It helps me to keep myself from being overly stressed, even though there are times you have to cry about it, even though it's fairly frustrating sometimes. But then when you really, really sit back and think about it and you recognize, what else could I have done? And you keep going. So I see that I am almost at, I meant for this to be short, but I ended up making it longer because I just want to make sure that I'm getting what I'm trying to say to you over. I want it to come in clear. And hopefully, this will help you in some situations that you may find yourself in, especially in your business. There's so many things that we can't control, but there are things that we can control. So, that's basically it for today. I will have the information on the video when it's downloaded for that free training. And I hope you'll check it out because it really did start me on a path, and I have not looked back since. So I'm going to go on and get off here. I'll see you again tomorrow, and we'll go from there. We'll talk about something else, another topic. Bye now.